I'm working on doing the final sealer coats on these square canvases today. So I thought I'd do a quick video on that process. So the last thing I did when I painted all of these is put a coat of matte medium on them, but I'm going to repeat that just to be sure that everything is locked down. And the reason that I'm doing that is because the final coat that I do is solvent based. And if all of the lettering isn't locked down and sealed, then it's possible that the wax will lift it as I apply it. And I don't want that to happen. So this is called an isolation coat. It's the coat in between the paint and the final sealer. And I'll try to remember on Patreon to link to the article I have at Mixed Media Club about applying isolation coats and what they're all about. So just a real thin layer of matte medium all the way around. And I'm also going to do the sides. And I'm working on waxed paper so that the paintings don't stick to my work table as they dry, because that would be a bad presentation to send these paintings off with paper stuck to the back of them. So I'm just going to slide this over to dry and then get the next one ready with wax paper underneath it. So these have been drying for a couple of hours. It's a pretty dry, warm day here. So, and when I put my hands on these, they don't feel cool at all. So that tells me that everything is dry and I can go ahead with this. You want to make sure that there's no liquid underneath this sealer coat. So what I'm going to be sealing with is Dorland's Wax Medium. This is a wax medium with a little bit of solvent in it, so the wax is really smooth. And this is usually for encaustic work, but it makes a great sealer. So I'm just going to get a little bit on some folded up paper towels, and with a circular motion, I'm going to spread it all over my fingers and all over the surface of this piece. Just a little bit at a time. And a little bit of this really does go a long way. Got a dog hair in here. This is an occupational hazard. It happens in the kitchen too, which is kind of gross. So I just want to get a thin coat over the whole thing. And I'm also going to rub a little along the edges. Not too much, just a little bit. And you can kind of see when it's all on, when it's all covered, because the piece gets a little bit shiny. And the wax medium is just a tiny bit dimensional. This dog hair is killing me. Come on, get off. It's stuck in the wax. Okay. Life in a house with dogs. So now I'm going to let this sit for, I don't know, an hour, a couple hours, a while. And even though this is solvent based, it doesn't have any smell at all, which is great because it doesn't stink up the house. So it can just sit, and you can tell it's dry when you can't feel this sort of waxy, I don't know, the kind of slippery feel that the wax has when it's in the container. It kind of firms up a little bit because the solvent evaporates and it turns into something that's a little bit more solid and a little bit thinner. Right now it's sort of dimensional on the surface, and that part goes away. These have been drying for a couple of hours, and now I'm going to buff them up to a shine. So you can tell that these are dry because they're no longer shiny, they're sort of matte. And you can leave the matte or the Dorland's wax like this for a matte finish, but I like to buff a little bit to get just sort of a little glow. It's not really going to be shiny, but it won't be as flat as it is right now. So I'm using pieces cut from an old t-shirt. When my white t-shirts are ready to dye, I cut them up and use them as buffing rags. So all I need to do is use that same circular motion and just rub just a little bit. And I don't know if you can see it, but this side is still matte and this side just has a little bit of a glow. It's not really a shine, but it's not as flat as it used to be. So, and you just want to do that until you get the finish that you want. And like I said, you can leave it completely matte if you want to. I like these to have a little glow to them. And I'm just going to rub the sides a little bit. And that's it. So now these are going to go to new homes. And when the new owner wants to clean these, all they have to do is take a soft cloth and do the same thing. Just buff a little bit. And whatever dirt's on the surface will come up and the glow will come back. It's very cool. And much more satisfying for me than doing like varnish or whatever, which is an exercise in stress. I always find varnish very stressful to apply because it bubbles and it streaks. Dorland's wax doesn't do that. It's just a very pleasant experience and gives my pieces a nice, healthy glow.